Hello everyone. I am here to update you on some information regarding my case. To catch you up, I was fired from Northland Department of Human Services for complaints that I made because I was forced to work in a building owned by the Robertson County Partnership for Children, where I was exposed to mold and chemical hazards while they was doing repairs on the building while it was closed for the pandemic. I refused to alter records to protect, my staff from fraud and wasteful spending. And at the end, I will let you know how the staff got rewarded for their doings. And I heard something this week that really stood out for me from Jennifer Lewis. She has a book out now, and she said, "You can't lie your way to greatness." You can't. And I'm going to show you how proof of lying your way to greatness will come back on you. Because of my injuries, I am seeing a specialist, cardiologist, a pulmonary doctor, allergist, vision. As you see, I'm 51 and have glaucoma, which is rare. I'm also have to see a neurologist for headaches, speech impediments, and I need to see someone about my immune system. For a year and a half, I've had constant blood work that keeps getting flagged over and over for white blood cell count high, infections in my blood, which I'm not sure what is. So let me start with some of the facts of why the state silenced me and fired me, because they didn't want me to go public about what was going on where I was working at. First, my assistant director wanted me to spy on my employees. I had to keep record of when they came to work late, how long they lunch breaks, and when they left early or when they was absent. And I had to email her this because that's what the staff was doing. There was no supervision, even though we had a supervisor, because she contributed to this behavior also. So if you can imagine the hostile environment that I was put in, I was treated real bad, unfairly. I should never been in a position to snitch on my coworkers. And so the director would call the office and I could hear the phones ringing because the staff wasn't there. And so what happened was, that's why she had me emailing her all these emails. And so my supervisor and my staff was quite upset because basically I was tattletelling on them. So my supervisor made some keys for a select few of this clique that they have, and they would go in the side door, so I couldn't see when they came to work late and left early. And they forwarded their phones where it would go straight to their cell phone, so when someone called, staff would pick up and you'd think they at work, but they wasn't at work. It was transferred to their cell phones to cover why they were not at work. Another fact, supervisor. It's quite awful, the things that I had to go through. My supervisor took it upon herself to limit me driving the state vehicles, which is part of my job. The state human resources didn't change my job description. For retaliation against me for filing the complaints, she dictated however she felt, whether I could drive the car here or somewhere else or not drive it at all. And at the end of the month, you would have to make so many hours, drive the car so many hours. You work for the state know this. If not, they're going to take the cars because they feel you don't need them. Well, I had to drive the car. I would drive the car to Fayetteville, North Carolina, just to check the mailbox to drive back to Lumberton. I had to keep driving unnecessary, using taxpayers' dollars, to put miles on these cars so we would get the mileage that we would need at the end of the month, so we won't lose the cars. And it made my supervisor look good, because on paper it looked like we were busy all the time at work, and that wasn't so. Third, ever since I started work, I thought it was unusual that staff could use the state vehicles for personal reasons, like taking each other, picking each other up for oil changes and what have you. Well, apparently in my admin meeting, that was not supposed to have been happening. My supervisor previously had took one of these vehicles and used it for her personal self, along with her spouse, who's also a state worker and an employee, and someone else. And my admin team was like, listen, don't help them out with anything. Don't sign any paperwork. If they miss something, let it go. Because the state got involved because of her unauthorized use of this vehicle, and tracking systems were put on the cars. And I couldn't understand, well, how would you still have a job? Well, when the manager is your close friend, the manager of the CDSA in Lumberton, and pretty much all the staff in Lumberton are close friends and they work together. I guess there's no need to apply for any jobs at the CDSA in Lumberton, because unless you're one of the friends, you're not getting a job. 70% of the staff are all friends and work together. It is what it is. And also, number 4, state vehicles are to drive to your appointments and meetings and what have you. In the afternoons, staff would leave early. You're supposed to drive the state vehicles to use the cars to go to your visits. They would leave early, drive their personal cars, so they wouldn't have to come back to work. That's why we would have a short mileage at the end of the month. So I had to make up at the end of the month for my staff leaving during the month early, driving their personal cars so they wouldn't have to come back for work. Taxpayers' dollars, because they would file mileage, supervisors would sign off on it, and there were state cars to drive. Unnecessary spending, and they were allowed to do that. Another reason staff was upset with me. My supervisor and a staff member didn't want me to report to the director that the staff member was taking a college class in another county, leaving work every day, because they wanted to keep that within the Lumberton office. What stays in Lumberton, what happens stays. You don't supposed to talk about it. Well, I didn't know that, and I was reporting she not being at work. Well, of course, more hostile against me. More problems came against me. If y'all are committing fraud, getting paid for time you're not at work, I don't want to have anything to do with it, and I'm not going to lie for you. I should have been tattletelling on everybody anyway, but that's what the assistant director wanted. I don't know about the rest of you state employees, but I wasn't allowed to leave work early and go take college classes in another county and still be on the clock, and my supervisor signed off on it. But that's exactly what happened. Yes, I reported these incidents to OSHA 1, 2, 3 times. Lafayette Atkinson said, unless somebody gets seriously hurt or injured or die, I can't come, and look at the building to see what's going on. Well, guess what, Mr. Atkinson? I almost died in that building, and you still didn't come to check. But then again, my job didn't do a report either. If it wasn't for when I dialed 911 before I passed out for help, and thank you, dispatcher, whoever took my call, because you saved my life, because you sent EMS to check on me, and once they were able to get in the building, my skin was cold and clammy, and I had to give oxygen before I left out the building. I almost died on the floor in that building. Amber Wilkes, state auditor, she requested the mileage to see what was going on with the company cars. The state auditor's office, wasteful spending, she was aware of it. She told me that she couldn't, give me on the feedback, because of the investigation. Amber, that was over a year, and I've heard nothing from you. Department of Labor, same thing. Filed a complaint. They just now contacted me almost a year later. EEOC, State Auditor's Office, Department of Labor. Your services are no longer needed. I have it at this point. All state agents work together. These state agencies got my information like they were investigating my cases and never had any inkling of investigating nothing. They shared the information with my job, and they try to clean it up. Then I get a letter from EEOC saying, well, we didn't find anything with your claim. But they had all the emails and records and everything. But the next week you send me a letter saying that we can no longer investigate your case because of the workshop that we have with the state. Well, you knew that from day one. You wasted 2 years of my life telling me you investigated my case, only to tell me you sent it to the Office of Administrative Hearings. That's a conflict of interest. That's corruption on your part, and you be investigated. So, everybody that I reached out to, they helped each other to clear their names. And firing me was a way of silencing me. I started at the supervisor, assistant director. He abruptly, he retired. He knew this was coming. He didn't want a parts of it. Manager, CDSA, well, I knew he wasn't going to do nothing because he's friends with the whole clique in Lumberton. Mandy Cohen, Secretary of Health, Governor Roy's office. Every week during the pandemic, they would talk about the COVID, and how to take care of ourselves and be safe, and take care of your surroundings, protect yourself and family, use the protocols, state protocols. Well, the state didn't look out for me. The state made sure my whole staff worked at home, except me. The state would not even move me to another office where I could work safely. I was told there's no money in the budget for me to work at home. This is what's so distasteful, disgrace. The assistant director, she sent out an email through the state. If COVID was a baby, what would you name it? I was shocked and horrified, along with my staff, because they had friends and family members that were sick and died of COVID. And all these workers with the state, children, CDSA means Children's Developmental Services Agency. They work with children up to the age of 3 years old, transitioning them to preschool or a special needs school. Most of these children would need help and resources the rest of their life. These people are running this agency or doing the things that I'm telling you. No staff member in that position should have been using the state website to want to name a COVID baby name, while Mandy Cohen, Secretary of State, is speaking on behalf of everybody in North Carolina about the importance and life-saving things to help us with COVID. This is the type of toxic environment that I'm working in. But what did the state do? You think they fired her or wrote her up, reprimanded her? No. It was fine with the state. And she was making fun and mockery of COVID. She was promoted to director. Now she's the director of the whole Cape Fear region, Southeast North Carolina. These people that I work with are overseeing your family and baby needs. But I'm here to tell you, I'm no longer a state employee. You cannot silence me anymore. I have thousands of emails, video, pictures, photographs, medical records to prove everything that I just said here today. And all these agencies that keep pushing me along, we're investigating. See, this is what the state is. In the state of North Carolina, you have a 3-year statutory limit to file a personal injury claim. And see, the state took my case and they kept pushing it out. We're investigating. They're trying to push it out until I'm past my 3-year statutory limitation. But I'm here to tell you, my time is not up. So all these agencies, you're fired. Your services are no longer needed. I got it from here. And I will be filing my own civil lawsuit. And just so you know, staff with the CDSA that have been fired, discriminated, retaliated against, resigned, they're looking to do a class action civil lawsuit. And I will speak on their behalf. And I will provide all my information to help their case. A lot of state employees are coming to me asking me for help on how to deal with this. But they don't want to do it public because they don't want to lose their jobs. Well, I ain't got nothing to gain or lose at this point. So I'm going to advocate for me, my life, and my family, and for anybody else, especially people who have disabilities and should never been forced to work in the environment that I was working in. I will be back soon to let you know how much the people of Robeson County, how much accommodations they are entitled to when they go to court and didn't even know it. To the point where this investigation with the district attorney's office is still pending. But it's time for me to go over their head because they're dragging their feet too. If you want justice, you better go after it yourself.